Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to Zipping Live broadcast of Lamb Chop Race number 6. We're out on the Watopia course for the Volcano counterclockwise course for 6 laps. We've got handicap racing out here today, and it looks like we've got about 450 riders signed up for the handicap racing today. So pretty cool to see all of the Zwifters jumping on out here. If you do want to jump in on the broadcast, we're live on Facebook, Twitch, as well as YouTube. We can bring in all of your questions and comments. As usual, I've got alongside me Mr. Pat Shaw coming all the way out of Australia. Pat, thanks a lot for jumping into the broadcast with us. Looks to be an exciting race again. Last week we saw the A's take it down with Jay Vine. Any predictions for this week?
Firstly, I think you were about to say I was in Russia, which I've never been to Russia. Be an interesting experience. Jay Vine took it out, yes, and he's been really hot on and off the trainer. So even in real life racing in the National Road Series, it's been fantastic. But last time was round 1 that we did this circuit, and it was D grade that took it out. And in a kind of a bittersweet way, it'd be nice to go A grade last week, D grade this week. But also a kind reminder to remember that we've got the bonus round next week during the World Championships.
Yeah, next week we will be having the obviously Harrogate Yorkshire course actually with some live feeds coming in all the way over from the UK, so it's gonna be pretty cool. So make sure to jump into a bonus round for next week for the Lamb Chop series. I can see that we do got chat coming on in, so good to see Tim Searle from AHDR jumping into the chat here. I did see him, I believe, in the B or A category. The C's are about to take off out on course here. The D's have already jumped out on course, so good to see all the chatter as well as the ride leaders that are helping along with these rides out here today, as I did see quite a few bit of chat going on prior to the takeoff of the C category. We'll see if we can jump in with some of these riders as we do try and move forward here and see how they get off out on the course. I did see 70, maybe 80 riders in the C category. I do believe Compson is out here again assisting for this week. I'll have to double check and see if there are a couple of the riders. Always want to give a shout out though, is for sure, to the ride leaders each and every week, and it's super helpful. And it does look like we do have Damian Lonergan along with Emily Compson this week on the leaders. Mike Brooks is out there, looks like, as well, from Team AHDR in the C category. So thanks a lot for all of the assistance and helping to keep things together. Ride leaders, you want to help the viewers out a little bit with what's up with the ride leaders? What's up with the yellow beacons, and why is it so helpful out there?
Well, I was explaining this to my father last night, actually, as I closed up the shop. He likes to have his night ride, and I said to him, "You're 27 metres in front of the beacon deck. Come back a little bit." Mind you, that was on a group ride. It's a little bit more intensive because we're looking to get in front and stay in front, particularly if you're D grade and you're leading the race at this current point. But a ride leader, particularly in the group rides and in races such as this, they can give guidance to the rest of the pack, particularly those riders that don't have the experience in these racing and are still trying to get the grasp of what it's all about. But basically, the chop is about going over your threshold as much as possible when you're on the front, and then getting into the draft and sitting under the threshold and trying to recover to help your group stay in front, or at least catch the leaders if you're A grade catching B grade, or C grade to catch D grade potentially tonight, as we're watching that group at the moment. But the ride leaders, and we've touched on it every week, they're a significant part of the Zwift experience, particularly in the Chop series, where a lot of people, I would suggest, are participating in the Chop series to learn more about their own physiology and capabilities, but also to gain more of that community aspect as well. And it's something that we really like about the Chop series. But a quick one about why numbers could be down a little bit tonight, even though 400 is amazing. We have had weeks of 600, but Junior Australian National Championships are on this weekend, so we don't only lose riders like Dalton Stretton and the likes from A grade and B grade, we also lose their parents as well and helpers. So they're off at the National Championships for this weekend.
And good luck to all the riders out there trying to battle it out for the jerseys this weekend. But as we do get out into the course for the C category, they're heading over to the Volcano for their 6 laps here. We do see some great encouragement there coming from Compson as well as the other ride leaders. So great job keeping everything blobby, as they did say out there out on course. I love let's get nice and blobby, as they need to do so in order to have the best chop races they possibly can. Quick little shout out to the D category. We'll get you out there onto the broadcast as quick as we possibly can. But shout out to Jen Williams from Team HDR for leading things out this week as well. The B category is just getting out on course as well, as they are leaving the main pens right now. And as they do jump out on course, we do have, it looks like Jay Magavero is out there leading things out for AHDR. It does look like Heitman's trying to close things down. It's a 17-second gap. Going to be a long day for Heitman there if you do allow things to get away from you. That's for sure. It looks like about 90 choppers here in this B category in the black sheep kits here. And as we do move forward, we'll see if we can get a good spot here on the beacon. That is going to be Magavero from AHDR. AHDR obviously helping to put together all the chop racing over the past couple of months, and now partnering up with Black Sheep and Zwift to make this happen here for all of these categories. We're trying to click around here, but there's so many riders here trying to get their eyes on the ride leaders. Can be a little bit difficult at times, but let's go ahead and give a quick shout out though for these leaders here. It is going to be John Magavero as well as Tim Bacon Searles in there for the B category. The Bacon himself is in the B category helping out with that beacon. So currently live time gaps are going to be on the screen throughout the entirety of the chop race here today. The lamb chop race, it's the D category with 4.7 kilometers in so far. We'll try and find them on course once we get a couple of laps in. C category, 235 back, 2.9 kilometers. In the B category, just getting out on course, 1 kilometer down with a 5:43 gap to the Ds. So those gaps that you see on the left-hand side of the screen will always be counting to what the gap is to the front of the race. That is the D category with the time gaps that they are given right from the get-go. And so the distances between them this week, I believe, looking at this here, I think the A category, they getting a full 3 minutes this week. Is that right? I'm not positive what exactly they're set up for. Pat, did you do any research prior here to see each one of the time gaps? Because it looks like the A category is going to be sitting in for a little while waiting to get out on course.
Yes, well, that's the penalty they pay for winning last week, and winning they did, because we were suggesting all night that it was favour to the front groups, but A-grade rode such an impressive evening, and one in which had split their group quite quickly, but they got a lot of assistance last week from stronger riders that probably hadn't contributed as much in the previous weeks, like Squalari and Jay Vine, obviously, but also the young riders. We mentioned him earlier, Stratton from Tasmania, only an under 17, but really driving hard back in the group. They really just worked to perfection, essentially. But I think they're going to find it going tough tonight, and potentially we see a repeat of the round one results, which was D-grade to take it out. But still a lot of time to pass by. And look, A-grade will be welcoming the challenge. I must admit, regardless of the handicap that they've had each week, every week they've put in 100%, haven't they? They've just been, they've always tried to catch. And sometimes in handicap racing, when the handicap's a bit against you, you can sometimes drop your bundle a bit. But A-grade, to their credit, they have chased 100% every week. And to be honest, they've had a pretty good strike rate too.
Yeah, they've had a very good roll of the dice each every week here. A couple of weeks missing out by half a lap, even a lap at some points. I believe they keep on getting caught out on the Innsbruck Ring. Now, we do have a little bit of some extra heavy hitters in here, as I am seeing CoachHendy.com out of New Zealand here. That is Greg Henderson has jumped into the race, it looks like, this week. I did get a little notification on my companion app that Greg Henderson did start riding. I was wondering if he was going to be doing the chop, and now heading to the front at 7.5 watts per kilogram. This is a little bit of extra firepower jumping in here if Greg's been riding recently, as this boy being a lead-out man in the Tour de France and the likes of UCI World Tour races. I think he's going to be pulling at the front 6+ if he's got some motivation here, Pat.
Yeah, not only that, he sort of acts as a secondary lead rider of the pack, or a captain. I'm sure if he sent through a message in the chat everybody in the group would respect that message and use that information. And we know what he did in his trade as a professional rider, one of the best lead-out men ever to grace the peloton, and continues to help help with riders' development all the time. Still see him on Twitter as well, punching out some very interesting tweets this week. But yeah, he's got the strength and he's going to have the power too. Could help A grade tonight, but it's going to be very difficult, isn't it, with that big gap for them? Because they already push such a high every week, it's not like they can all of a sudden get a 10% gain on last week's power, because it's just impossible. But the likes of C and D grade and B grade, sometimes they can get a little bit of an advantage because they have a rider that can go to the front. Wasn't feeling as good last week, but then goes to the front this week and puts in a really good effort. So that's the one thing. Week to week, you're going to see the exact same thing from A grade, very similar average. And although B, C, and D grade have their average watts per kilo that they have to fall into for the entirety of the event, they certainly can surpass that for a period of time when on the front. So you can see a bit of a gain for them week to week.
Looking through from the chat coming on through over at Facebook as well as over at Twitch. Thanks a lot, guys, for the questions. Let's go ahead and go through a few of the questions as A grade does get out on course. We'll jump in with B, C's, and D's then as well to see how the time gaps are going here. But James Joseph Barnes, good to see you, says, Nathan, what Zwift Nationals are this weekend? I can't find anything. So it's not Zwift Nationals. Pat, you want to give an update exactly what Nationals are going on down in Australia?
Yeah, a junior national championship. So it's under 17s and under 15s that will partake in the national championships this weekend. Tomorrow is the time trials, Saturday the road races, and Sunday. Time trials tomorrow, Saturday the road races, and Sunday the criterium. And it's an interesting way it works in the national championships for the juniors, because in the criterium they actually race a qualifying heat. They need to finish in the top 14 of that heat. And then they'll go into the final where 28 riders will fight out for the medals, gold, silver, and bronze. It's something that I like riders to go to and have fun, Nathan, and I'm sure you agree with that. Because at that age, if it's all so serious, it gets very difficult to really lift it another notch come under 19s, under 23s, and obviously elite. So my advice to athletes that I've spoken to that are going down there, whether I coach them or not, is just to go and enjoy it, because after this, they probably head up into the junior ranks where there's world championships and things like that on offer, and things become a little bit more serious. So always good to have fun and remember that it is, at the end of the day, it's all just a game.
100%. And at that age, it's all about development, I think, a lot of times. So I definitely want to agree with that sentiment as, it's not going to be a career on the line at that point, not necessarily searching down for the contracts at that point. Might be a couple of scouts out there, but not in the same respect. If they see you having fun, having a good attitude, and getting pretty good results, that's really what it's going to be about. Of course, having, give it everything you got, but at the same time, let the pressure come off. And I've found the best races I've ever had is when I just raced my race. Didn't worry about what everybody else was doing, had fun with it, knew the work that I put in there. And when I did that, the wins and the podiums came a lot easier. And when they didn't, there wasn't as much of a letdown from it. So, definitely give everything you got, put the work in, but I 100% agree with that sentiment, especially at that age. Have fun, develop, and become the best rider that you can in that way. A couple more questions coming on through here. Tim Searle, actually not questions, but a great comment, actually, letting us know the kind of talent that's in here, coming from the Bacon Man himself. And it is going to be Team NZ hitting the lamb chop. Hendy is out there, Ollie Jones is out there, and Alex West. We definitely, we might be missing a few of the under 23 or under 18 riders out there today, but it looks like we've got plenty of extra firepower with two Zwift Academy finalists and a winner, as well as ex-UCI World Tour Pro. So amazing to see how much firepower is coming out of New Zealand and hammering away in the chop here in this A category, as they've already brought it down to about a 7:14. So definitely, that's a pretty quick, look at how fast it's coming down, actually. They've gained a minute in this first lap. Just in this first lap here, they've already brought it back down to 7 minutes and 12 seconds here. 10 kilometers in is going to be the D category, 8.8 here for the C's, 7 in for the B's, and the A's there right at about 5.3. So still 5 kilometers to make up, though. That's plenty of time here, it looks like, with 25 kilometers that they're going to be needing to finish yet to get to the finish line with a 30 kilometer in total, about 30 kilometers in total is what I got over here at zippower.com. We got Vegan Sue coming through over at Twitch. He's saying, great show, guys. Who's your money on? I'm not sure I want to start rolling the dice or putting my chips on the table just yet on anything because it's pretty up in the air at this point, Pat.
Oh, yeah, and particularly in these types of races, it's just crazy like how much it can change. You spoke about the gap in which A grade is already closed in there, but keeping in mind D grade has probably travelled a fair few kilometres more than them. So we're really gauging ourselves off how far D grade have covered when we look that B grade is in fact almost 2 kilometres in front in distance. So time is one thing, but distance is another, because as that distance keeps creeping down at the finish line, that leaves less time for the back groups of A grade and B grade to catch the front. But yeah, certainly way too early. I'm always good for an early call, but this is too early. But for sure, we're happy to hear your predictions or how you think it'll unfold. Tonight for mine, someone from C or D grade.
I'm liking that prediction there with the C and the D grade. I definitely am rooting for them as they lost last week to the A's and the B's. Well, A's specifically, but the B's were involved a little bit there at the end as well. Tim Searle, though, is admitting as well over at the chat that he's got no idea who's going to win this week. And I think there's been a lot of learning that's been going on amongst the riders, too. So I think, with the experience that's come in, as well as having a little bit of a different feel this week as far as who is in the race, I think it is a little bit more up in the air, so we'll have to keep eyes on things and see how it does play out. We are getting in amongst some of the D riders here as the C category does catch a few of them that have fallen off, but we're in with the B's now. Here's A Squires toward the front, averaging a solid 4.1 watts per kilogram at the front end. We will be watching ZwipPower.com as well for the live results, as well as what kind of efforts have been put out by some of the riders. We always like to shout out the workhorses, those who put in the most work as far as the average watts per kilogram go. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean that those riders suffered more, as we do know the reality is that it's different between every single rider. That is what's cool, though, about the Chop, is that A category, B category, C category, D category are all riders that are around the same ability. So the idea there, everybody, is that in the A category, everybody in that category, if you sign up for an A race, you should be able to hold 4.0 watts per kilogram or higher for your functional threshold power, or your 20-minute power is really what it's based on, usually around in Zwift. And then in the B category, it's going to be 3.2 to 4.0 watts per kilogram. And then in the C category, it's going to be 2.5 to 3.2. And then anything below 2.5 in the D category is usually what everything is set up with. And that means that all of these categories then have riders that are around the same ability. That's why the time gaps are where they're at. That's why there are differences amongst each one of the categories, so that they do get a little bit of a lot of advantage depending on what the ability is between them. So pretty cool setup here, and really cool to see all the riders here jumping out there in order to hammer away for the category. The A category, we just saw about, I think, 50 feather power-ups being popped, and Hendy, I don't know if I've seen his avatar sit down once like since we got on here. 6.5 watts per kilogram, already flying through some of these turquoise jerseys out here. Interesting to see. Now the turquoise, I believe, out here is going to be some of the D category, but I think that is the D category for the first time they need to come by them, perhaps. Alex West now trying to close the gap down as Hendy's almost gapping the rest of the A's as they come over this little bit of a two-tier climb here. And this is going to be Jay Jai as well as Peter, and then Grandel closing things down from the BRT team as they're rolling around in those salmon kits. So lots of power-ups being thrown down. Again, no reason to save the power-ups. Use them up unless you're looking at the last sprint, because it's going to assist that category pad out there in order to keep on using those power-ups and make sure that you're using as much of a speed advantage as you can possibly get.
100%. And I think that's probably sometimes the differential between a good ride leader and a very good ride leader. And that is that the very good ones explain about, look at this, that's a beautiful picture. That's what you want to see. Yeah, using the advantage of the feather power up into the volcano. That's a difficult little climb there. Looks like nothing, but I can tell you a sense, gee, does that burn the legs, particularly when you're trying to get yourself into good position before opening up a killer. But certainly in the early days, and very much so if it's an aero power up, use it to the advantage of around you. And it certainly helps. But if you're in the middle of the pack as well, certainly helps you too. And if you don't know enough about the power ups, although their simplicity is pretty self explanatory, about the power up making you lighter, you can go onto Zwift.com and check it out, because informing yourself about a little bit about how the game works as well will be a help in race situations and might be the difference between a podium.
Yeah, for sure. Huge. It can be the difference between a podium for sure, especially if the riders aren't using them together. E. Compson here, actually, it was great, the explanation you gave there. The moment that we came over to the C category, we actually saw Compson calling out anyone who has a feather over that 2-tier, because each lap going into the lap finish banner, there is a little 2-tier kick. So there's one little kick up, and then it flattens out into the volcano, and then one final kick to the finish line or lap banner. And Compson there, as they were going over that sharpest part of the climb, called out, let's go here. Everybody who's got a feather, use it up. They did that. Brought the speed of the entirety of the blob or the pack there, as she was calling it, over the top there, and definitely had a solid result there as far as keeping everybody together and having some solid speed. They've already brought it down to 128, actually. Less than a kilometer is the distance between C and D category. The C category is really flying this week, and you said maybe the C category for a win this week. I would not put it past them with the kind of speeds that they're holding on to. We're already starting to see some of the D category up ahead here. We are looking at 34th place in that D category right now, 30th place. This is not the main group. It's a little ways up from here. They're just about to be entering the volcano here, and it looks like at about 19 seconds up or so, there's another pack, but there's not a lot of time left between the C category and this D category now, and the C's are on a rampage this week, very well organized. I would not count them out for the win.
Oh, certainly not. And the good thing is that they've got good numbers as well. And the numbers are a really crucial aspect of the chop racing, because draft effect and also that fresh, you can go to the front and hurt yourself a little bit more than you'd like to, but then get a nice, good draft. The difficult thing about this course, I find, is it's very difficult to find a rhythm. I don't know what your feedback is about this particular circuit, Nathan, but I certainly have always found it difficult to get in a rhythm, because you're going on a fast part of the course or you're on a challenging course, and particularly step climb going up to the volcano really does hurt. Coming out of the volcano again, slightly off the wheel, it can really hurt you. Watching from the eye view of, Ollie. Shout out to Ollie, because he's been leading some rides recently. So see some of the riders that also get in A grade and have to also do some ride leads, particularly for the Zwift sessions that have been available. And to everyone that's part of the Zwift Academy, hopefully you've completed all of the requirements to unlock that jersey, and also get yourself your tick of approval for completion. It'll be interesting to see who the finalists are this time around.
Yeah, we are seeing some crazy firepower on the front again here. Jay Vine, last week's winner here. But it does look like Ollie Jones was toward the front there. It was nothing but Kiwis actually on the front for a moment ago. But as you were saying, hard to find a rhythm. And it looks like even the likes of West and Jones there falling back a little bit, as Vine and Henderson get a little bit of a gap over the top of the rest of the riders here. Two riders that could maybe break away and catch the rest of everybody else out there. As we do see Psychopath VZT trying to get back on terms, it looks like there. And it definitely is. You asked, whether or not this was a course that was difficult to find a rhythm, and I do see that because the kick is so incredibly intense. I think it's about a minute or so, maybe more, as far as climbing the 2-tier all the way to the lap finish banner. And it's a full all-out effort, almost orange numbers all the way through, up into 7 to 8 watts per kilogram when you are a part of this A category. And trying to hang on with these boys, and then just essentially it's just looking for some reprieve at this point for some of these riders that have just been put at the limit here. So going to be difficult. And then with the nature of the course, I think with the riders that are out there that are maybe going over threshold and then trying to come back under at each section that they possibly can, it essentially just puts you over threshold on the climb and then you're under for the rest of the lap. I think that might have something to do with why it's difficult in order to find that rhythm, because you don't get into that take a pull, sit in, take a pull, sit in, because the climb puts you at such a negative if you're on the lower end of your category's FTP. You know, if you are closer to that 3.3, 3.4 rather than a 4.0 in the B category, if you're closer to a 4.0 to 4.5 in the A category, or on that lower end of that FTP, you might find it difficult to get that solid rhythm and even find yourself off the back in some of these situations, because these boys in this A category, they are not waiting for anybody. You can already see it starting to splinter. It started with 56. And I think we're down to maybe 35 or 40. So they've already taken off almost, I think, 20 riders from this A category because of the incessant pace that's been in the 6 to 7 watts per kilogram on the front. Already starting to catch some of these C category riders out here. So the A's are on a rampage. 14.9 kilometers in, 4:22, but it's only, it looks like, about a minute up to the B's from them. 1 minute, though, between the C and the D category. C's with 3 laps to go, just coming through the lap finish banner right now. Compson still coming through with a lot of great directions. It looks like it's a little splintered, though, here, Pat. They've got to get organized if they want to stay on this kind of speed they've been holding.
Yeah, they definitely do. And the gap is right where it's a line ball call. How it goes in the final 3 laps. D-Grade could even survive from here. I really like what they're doing in front. They haven't lost money that lap. They're still got good energy in the front of the race. Touching on what you said, I think you really put the nail in the coffin with the tactics that are needed for this circuit. It's when you do a strong turn on this circuit, you get yourself probably 30 seconds on some of the other courses, covers, grind it out. It's almost like you finish a turn on the front, you fit on the still a semi-continuing that for the next 20-odd seconds before you get back into the comfort zone. And that's what makes this course so great to watch. Groups start to really fall in the final 2 laps, and we're getting towards that time of the race now, and I think that we're going to see some splitting up.
Yeah, it's definitely splitting up a little bit. Here's we're looking at the first place in the C category. Now, 114 actually in this C category. That is a huge amount of riders, but look at how split up this is. But they've jumped in with a few of the A's that have fallen off, actually. It looks like mixing them with them, that's going to give them a little bit of a boost, actually, being in amongst these A category riders. So with these shorter laps, it definitely makes it interesting where they start to mix with some of the riders who maybe weren't able to hold on to the pace from the other categories or catching some of the groups. You know, as things start to come together here between all the categories, it starts to just become every man or woman for themselves. Who's just going to take it across the line? With the C category, with only 51 seconds between themselves and the D's, it's going to be about 2.5 laps to go. The D category might still be able to pull this off here. We're going to see if we can jump in with them in just a moment here, but let's see how things are going with the B category. We haven't jumped in with them in quite a while. We've got 91 riders. We're currently looking at first place here with Squires right now, 3.9 watts per kilogram on the front out of Australia here. T. Clark sitting in. Harvey's in there as well. Hayden as well as W. Thomas now. And the gap here in this for this B category is only 40 seconds between them and the A's. And as the A's come on through, they're going into the volcano where the B's are just leaving the volcano actually here. So it's just around the corner here for this A category to make this a catch. It's, you know, they've almost got them in the sights, and that's when you really start to taste the blood in the water here. And, you know, I think that these riders here at 7.3 with Hendy on the front, he is just driving the pace here. Vine coming on through. Rich here as well. They got a 2-second gap. These 4 riders just may say, forget it. Let's go, boys, because we can keep the speed, and we can see the B category up here make that catch, and all they're going to do is grab some more wheels for them to hold on to for a moment and go flying right on through, I think.
Yeah, well, Greg Henderson, he is on an absolute mission tonight. You see he was pumping out 60 and 70 watts out of the volcano there. It's a strong effort, and I think these 4 are going for it. They've said, well, guess what? It's going to hurt whether we're with the group or on our own, so let's just keep going after 8 kilometers in just 21 minutes. Hold your hats. That is absolutely flying. And we see that Greg Henderson maintains a cadence of around 90 revs per minute, keeping his heart rate down a bit lower.
He is absolutely flying out here today, as you do see 90 RPMs now coming from Teku out of Japan as well. Rich Emrich now making his way to the front. ZWC, Alex West riding for that Canyon CCC team as well. And it looks like it's all back together. So they did not break things up too much. 2 seconds back here to C. Smith from Innovation, though. Hedger here now just grabbing on, but it's going to be the Frenchman here, it looks like Lecomte, and C. Smith going to suffer for the reality of the pace that's being set. And at 4.2 watts per kilogram, C. Smith at 2.8, I think, it's only right there. It's just maybe 20 meters up, but it's going to be too much. The seconds are going out. Those boys are a freight train up ahead in this A category, and they are going to be a force to be reckoned with here, I think, for the rest of this race, because it's only 2 laps to go, but it is closing very quickly. At 3:14 back, though, my money's on the C category, actually. I think I'm going to start calling it here. That C category is flying this week. They're only 34 seconds back from the Ds here, and they have been extremely organized, and it just goes to show the strength in numbers as well. They've got the largest group out there, I think, this week with 114. They've been well organized, super well-oiled machine out there with the ride leaders there, letting everybody know when to use the power-ups and everything. 34 seconds. I think they might be able to pull this off. They're coming through. I believe it's going to be maybe 1 lap to go here. I'll have to take a look at the lap banner as they do come through. It'll let us know in just a second here. But, these riders here with 2 laps to go. So with 2 laps to go, about 12K or so, a little under 12K. So maybe be able to pull this off here. It's only 29 seconds. I think they're going to make a catch in the D, and there might not be enough landscape to work with for the B and the A category unless they really start to pump it up. But I'm not sure they can go much faster.
They definitely can't go any faster, surely not. The turns that Grayson is pulling, those of Jay Vine have been very impressive. But as you said, C grade, they've been the best versus their category. They're within 35 seconds of D grade. There's certainly enough terrain to make the catch, and on average, they're bringing back enough time to do so. They'll probably do that in that final lap, which is going to be exciting as well, because caught at the right time as a D grade rider, you may be able to hold on for the finish. And I always am one that likes to see a mix of the categories in that top 10 rather than just a flood of one category, particularly if a category is caught and someone hangs on for 6th or 7th. Always inspired by those rides.
Yeah, for sure. It'd be really cool to see if the D category could jump back on. But we are seeing Compson saying, look, all right, I've done a great job of leading things out here, but I'm done, absolutely cooked, just trying to hold on and saying, okay, just time to try and give directions rather than hang on with the category any longer, because they are flying this week. We're starting to get some predictions coming in. Let us know, do you think the C category is going to pull this off? They're holding steady with the Ds here at 32 seconds. Will they be able to actually catch the front end of this race here? It's 0.4 kilometers is the difference. Kevin Hacker's letting us know that he thinks the C category has got it this week. Doing brilliantly there. Crystal Simpson is calling out there for Jennifer Williams. Keep it up in the D category. We're hearing also from Michelle Crick from AHDR Ladies there for the Purple Armada, cheering them on. Looking through here, line of Austin still ain't pro, bro, as I believe Austin resting up for perhaps next week's Zwift Classic race. I believe that's going to be out on the Yorkshire UCI Harrogate course, actually. But also see James Joseph Barb coming on in through here, chatting away as well, chatting about dreaming to be pros out on Zwift. Vegan Sue's letting us know that he thinks the C's are going to be holding on to this. We'll have to wait and see, though. And Compton here letting us know that she's off the back here, but still loves everybody in the category here. But back in with the A's. They are on a rampage, as well as the B's. They have caught them, it looks like, officially here. This is the catch out on course. We see the B category mixed in with the A's now, and they've got some extra firepower. 2:32 back with about 2 laps to go. Maybe going to make this happen. We'll have to, I don't know. They've got extra firepower here, but I'm not sure the B's are going to be able to even to hang on to the kind of pace the front end of these A's have been throwing down here, Pat.
I think that it's going to be one of those ones where the winner's going to cross and entering the volcano. They will have tipped everything in. Of work, Anderson, he's obviously wanting intensity workout today. He wants good bang for his buck, getting it on the front, 500 watts, pushing one under that 100 revs per minute, but probably to the biggest gear he has on his bike at this moment. Oh, Coach Hendon done. Ollie Jones right there as well. Jay Vine close by. This is really big hit out. Look at B grade. They're just trying with everything to hold on. But this is strong demand. Try and get Ollie Jones driving it. He's trying to get with Jay Vine and Anderson. But I think they're just going to fall at 15 or 18 seconds short.
Yeah, 15, 18 seconds. I think you're right about right there. Now, look at this, like you were saying, though. Look at how the elastic is just snapping. The moment they come through and this line of B category riders just goes out, and even A category riders just gets completely strung out with a lap and a half to go. 8.3 on the front. They are not giving up. Jay Vine is like, they're probably watching the broadcast going, we'll show you guys. We're going to put everything we've got down on the line here. You know, it may not happen, but we're not leaving anything to chance, and it really looks like the A category riders are just putting every last ounce of effort they possibly can to try and shut this down. But it might just not be quite enough. It might just be an impossible ride here. Will they pull off the impossible is going to be the question here. If this A category makes this happen, I'd be so incredibly impressed. Again, 6 watts per kilogram here coming from Hendy. Again, 450 watts. He sits in momentarily for 350, 325 or so, goes right back to the front, pushes the pace again. Pierre's good now. Now they're starting to get a couple of these riders that have been sitting in for a little bit of the race here, and they're starting to make their way to the front as well. Some of these riders, I think, that have been just kind of resting are starting to go, okay, it's time to completely sacrifice everything we've got if this category is going to make it. Westy now making his way to the front again. Jones again into 7.3 watts per kilogram, carrying through up into 58 kilometers per hour if they come down that 2-tier downhill. They're going to come through into their final lap here in just a moment. And as we do look at the A category here, I'm going to take a quick look and see where is our C's. They're just entering into the volcano with 1 lap to go. 1 lap to go here. And on the other side here, just around the corner, the A category is looking at the left-hand turn into the 2-tier. So it's about 2 minutes back. It's maybe too much, Pat.
Yeah, but you can't ride them. They've been able to, the final laps all been so amazing. Even the weeks where they've been well out of it. Look, I know they've always been within that half a minute. And as they come storming up here, this is really the decker for A grade versus the category. As they get up this first incline about 15 to 18 seconds quicker than else, and you see these big turbo boosts going through the volcano. This is where it really, really hurts because you've done that big acceleration and then it's a constant on the pedals for about a minute until you leave the volcano. I tell you, by the time the volcano, it's going to be back to about 40 seconds. And if we work out the gap between A grade and C grade, they're on average getting it done. They are doing the right amount of split per lap. Catch the front of the race. It'll be an absolute ripper finish.
It looks like it is going to be here, and I am moving forward here as best as I possibly can in the C category to see where the Ds are at, because some of the riders actually, or some of the viewers here are saying, no, the D category has got this, and they think perhaps the Cs have not done quite enough to make this happen, but it's a 9-second gap, 0.2 here at this point, and they're about halfway through the Cs through this lap here, so I believe they are just going to make this catch here. Here's the front end of that C category. Currently, 3rd place now. 1st place for the Ds here, coming out of Switzerland, 2.3 watts per kilometer is going to be T. Len, a little ways up. I'm going to just make sure as far as the live results go here. Christoph Prub here I'm seeing at 2.9 watts per kilogram in the D category, 3.1 for Massa. There's a few riders that are over category limits actually, so we'll have to wait and see if there are going to be any upgrades, but solid effort out there for the D category so far. far. We are hearing from Crystal Simpson saying, push it C category, come on. Kevin Hecker saying, come on A's, prove me wrong. The chat is coming through. Everybody is really kind of on edge at this point because this is one of the best we've seen so far at the kind of pressure each one of the categories is putting on here to try and take this win out here today. It's about a half lap to go. They're exiting the volcano for the last time in the C category here. They're just making the catch, so they have made the catch here for the front end from according to our live time gaps now. Well, now it's back up to 12 seconds. Actually, it's going back and forth a little bit here. 27.4. They're on the same distance, but it's just enough time here that perhaps the D's could hold on. We are seeing the C category now, though. I'm going to jump back over to their view. They're about to head down the 2 tier. It's going to be a left-hand turn in just a moment here, and they will be going back on over toward the uphill 2 tier. Here is the A category. They're just entering the volcano where the C category had just left this section of road. They've closed it down just about here, but it's still almost 1K to go in order to make the catch. 121. I think it's just too much unless they get into full on, like, I don't know. They'd have to be sprinting on the front, essentially sitting in, each rider just burning every match they got in order to close this down. I think the season got it this week, Pat.
Yeah, well, they've worked really hard. I tell you what, I always love to sort of go on the hard call against the A graders. Just it feels good when you're on the sidelines. You know that it doesn't hurt from here. You know how much pain they're putting themselves through. But I've got to tell you, whoever tonight, this is the most spectacular chops, right? And it's quite fitting that it's the last before our bonus round. And got to give hats off to the A grade for the chase. Drake can hold them off. This is a massive effort.
Huge effort here. We do see it looks like it's going to be Della Roach here now taking over the front end of this C category. They're actually about to lap a few of their own category riders here. Here come the power-ups, though, as they do get into the sprint section of the course now. They're not going to be caught. The A category is just, we'll just give you a quick shot here of what the A category is up to. They're just coming down the section of the course here. It would have to be, it's so close. They're about to hit the 2 tier uphill where these guys are, but they're already over the top here for the C category. It looks like it is going to be the rider out of Japan here. Boshi here now, I believe it is, just kicking it 11 watts per kilogram here. He's got a solid sprint, it looks like here. Della Roche, they're out of France here, trying to close things down. Not going to be happening. These kicks might put these riders over the category limits. They may actually have a situation where there's some of the riders behind might take the official win. We'll have to wait for the organizers here. And yes, we are seeing a flag there over the rider's head, but so it is going to be Della Roche here now. It's going to be coming across here for first place, perhaps, as McDonald tries to close it down, but no, it's going to be Della Roche, followed up by Jake Lute, Pert, and then it's going to be T. Cook, I believe, for third. We'll go ahead and try and get a replay of that and see, as well as get the live results coming on through. Now, in the A category, they I believe will not be catching the D, so I do believe the D category with T. Len did just come across the line here, but let's go ahead and see how things play out amongst the heavy hitters out here. Teku here now with Coach Hendy sitting in. Will Hendy be able to take it down, the lead-out man himself? But Vine, the rider from last week that was able to take the win with a perfectly timed arrow power-up, 8 watts per kilogram, 174 beats per minute here coming from Jay Vine, 9 watts per kilogram, 10 watts per kilogram here. Will Vine be able to get a back-to-back win? But Ollie Jones from Turbo looking to try and make it happen, but Vine's got a feather power up, and it looks like 14 watts per kilogram, 1100 watts. Jay Vine shows us why he can win every chop if he wants one. It looks like here, along with that National Road Race Series, he's showing us why he's got it in real life as well as on Zwift here, Pat.
I tell you what, I called this guy out a couple of months ago, and I was really impressed with his Zwift. Down to the Road Series last event of the Great South Coast. Watch down there, the stage, the Criterium, which we televised, and he was really impressive. He's a strong rider to keep your eye on for the future. He's putting near Yankee on them this year in the National Road Series, and that was one hell. You know as much as I do how tough that sprint is, particularly after like they have done in the A category tonight. And he is really, really impressive. He's going places, this young Jay Vine.
Yeah, super, super impressed. We've been awesome, awesome to see out here today, and great to see the kind of efforts he can put out. We've seen him out on Instagram as well, but at least I've seen him on Instagram and the socials lining up. But I had no idea who he was actually prior to these Zwift races, and it's cool to see how locally with you guys, it puts them on the map, obviously, with this in real life results. But now also being involved in some of these community races here, to put it on the map for everybody else watching, going, what's going on here? And I think it also gives a little bit. I mean, I wasn't watching any of the Australian racing locally down there. I'm watching what's going on here in the USA a lot of the times, but definitely on my radar now because of the reality of Zwift racing and how it brings so many people from all over the world together into these races. So very cool to see. Let's go ahead and take another look there. I was trying to get the replay here from the sprint there from the just a moment ago from the C categories. They did take the win officially, but we aren't able to have that there just at the moment here. So here's what we did just see there with Vine coming across the line there. 14 watts per kilogram. There's the kick to the line. It looks like Jones just nipping. No, Jaja, I think, did get the better of Jones across the line in the A category sprint there. But for the C category, the official results, this is going to be what it is here. And it is going to be Michael Pepper here. Well, excuse me, preliminary results, I should say, before they do get cleared up, if there needs to be any clearing up. But it does look like it will be Michael Pepper here for the C's, followed by James Harper and then Marius Kotzer. Jay Vine coming across for fourth there. Jaja, Ollie Jones. Greg Henderson with the seventh place after just drilling it on the front all day long. Adam Pierce got from Team Poland E-Racing, Mon Rich, and then it's going to be Lauren Bachman across the line for 10th place. That's what we got for the results. These are preliminary, everybody. If they are incorrect, we'll, they'll get updated over at ZwiftPower.com. If you want official results, you do need to head on over to ZwiftPower.com because I do believe that Christoph Pub and a few others in the D category are looking at these and going, wait a second, Nathan, that doesn't look like what I'm seeing as far as how things went down. So, but I do believe Michael Pepper, from what I am seeing here, is correctly, but we have had a couple of things, a little bit of a struggle with Zwift Power this week, a little bit, as well as with some of our other broadcasts, so things might be a little bit off. We'll have to wait and see, but still, though, some of the best chop racing we've seen so far, Pat. A really amazing job by the ride leaders and everybody all around, I think.
Yeah, I think it's continued to elevate. Last year was really great to see a lot of people racing on Zwift, but never have we seen 406 week in and week out, and it's been fantastic. But tonight's race, that was really, because still even in that last lap, it was possible that I could take the victory. Don't forget to join us next week. Involved titles, and obviously from our standpoint, we're wanting as many golds as possible for Australia.
Yeah, I absolutely love it, Pat. Thank you so much. Thanks a lot, as always, for the co-commentary coming in out of Australia here and giving us all that inside knowledge when it comes to everybody who's jumping in from the land down under, specifically serving that part of the world with this time zone and this time for the races. But, yeah, we are looking forward to next week. We are going to be having some live feeds coming in from Yorkshire with the Harrogate UCI World Course and the World Championships. There'll be a lot going on over at the Draft House, and obviously we're going to be having some lamb chop racing with an extra race, so make sure to be jumping in with that. We are live over on YouTube, Twitch, as well as Facebook. If you are looking for the videos on demand, probably the best place to watch that would be Twitch or else YouTube. As always, our VODs will be saved over there and much easier to find, so we'll be updating the thumbnails shortly after this. You'll be able to find the replay if you are looking for that, if you're just tuning in and want to watch your replay of your race. If you haven't done so already, make sure to hit the follow buttons on each one of those places or wherever you do like to watch the live streams. Facebook, just so everybody knows, not always the easiest to get updates. Now, if you do hit the notification button and tell Facebook to tell you whenever we do go live, that does work very easily. But live streaming platforms or YouTube tend to be a little bit better. So if you want to head on over there, do so. You also find us at ZwiftCommunityLive.com. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in. Really appreciate it. Great job to all the riders, as always, out there. And as always, everybody, ride on.